you'll notice I haven't gone very deep on this.
You just
took my
wet
first
your whistle, basically.
I took my first sip. I sent you that picture.
Yeah.
I took my first sip, and I was like, I'm not opening this until I say this is.
Let's make room for that. No, put that up here for sure, because I think that's
you
part
want
of
the
that's
tin?
part of the presentation. I think that's another thing of, when we're looking at the Buffalo Trace family and what they do with making things feel exclusive and making things feel almost magical, like just another element of wow, right?
Yeah.
The packaging matters.
It
And
does.
there's a lot of, especially in the Scotch category, that have this type of presentation.
True.
Right?
Yep.
And a lot of people have kind of copied it for a reason. It
Yeah.
visually, you're like, wow, I'm getting something different here. And there's something about this E.H. Taylor brand that is just, it's iconic visually.
Yeah.
Which the only other one that I can really say is, of course, Pappy, because you're seeing, the iconic Pappy label. And then, Blanton's being in the same Buffalo Trace family, the grenade bottle. You see those things and you're like, zoom, laser beam in.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else there really isn't. I mean, even on my shelf right here, I've got Booker's, which comes in a box.
Yep.
But I can't think of anything else. Like put your head just virtually back at a liquor shop that you go to. Is there anything else that you recall seeing on a shelf that is just that dynamic and that different? Willet,
and I was going to say
bottle,
the birthday bourbon from Elijah Craig, right? So those two are in very interesting, and even the there's now a Master Distillers from the Woodford that kind of uses that same what would you call that? That's the still kind of bottle. It's meant to replicate the still, the big copper still. So it's in a iconic shape, but I don't think it has the presence, because you can look at this, that kind of Willet, and I'll just pull it for reference here. You can look at a bottle shape like this, and you can say that's unique. But if I look at this from across the store, don't know what brand it is until I get close enough to read, because some other ones are doing a similar bottle design. So there's nothing iconic about the look from 50 feet. Whereas you walk into a liquor store and see this on the shelf from 50 feet away, you know what it is, and you know what you're walking up on.
That Willet, I'm always wanting to just rub it and let it grant me 3 wishes. Like 3 wishes for me, 3 pours.
Just get a half wish. We'd be doing all right.
Half wish. Well, all right. We've got this bottle in front of us that has just been lightly sampled. That
Colonel.
How many? There's 6 of these or 8.
Oh man, there's actually a lot. I want to say the last time I really looked into it, there was between 11 and 14, because I mean they have, like, remember the tornado a couple years ago that came through Kentucky? They have a tornado survivor version of this, right? They got their single barrel, their small batches, their single barrels, their ryes. I think there's barrel proof. Then there's, like, certain warehouse versions of those particular instances. And they have some specialty ones, right, of some of the older age. So there's a lot to this.
I remember looking online at, there's this place in town that does like Uber collection type stuff, and they have all of them. And I don't know what the collection is, but it's like all of them from the same year or the same drive. But it's $25,000 for all, like, 15 bottles.
I can understand that.
Something in that range.
I can
it's
understand
like $25,000 for 15 bottles.
So let me tell you how crazy, and some people might have a heart attack listening to this. I bought this as a gift for Matt,
which I greatly appreciate.
I don't know what the retail is, but I think it's around $79 to $80.
I think so.
Retail.
Yeah.
In Nashville, Tennessee, if you want to walk in and buy it off the shelf, we're not talking about showing up the day that it comes off the truck.
Yeah.
But you want to go in and buy it off the shelf, you're looking between $125 and $150.
Yeah.
So just to put that in perspective, the markup, the secondary market is insane around these bottles.
Yeah, and I'll let you be the determiner if that's even worth it to justify the search for it.
It was a gift to you, man. It was worth every penny.
Well, I had to put my brain into that mentality of, if I saw this on the shelf and now that I know what it tastes like, would I spend that money? I won't give you an answer to that because I don't want to. Yep. I don't want to sway your your tasting here.
So we'll have
but-
to run some cool B-roll of this packaging and the bottle itself. But this is Colonel E.H. Taylor Jr. For those of you who don't know, it's a small batch, and it is straight Kentucky bourbon whiskey. And yeah, man, it's one of the iconic brands. It comes from one of the more iconic warehouses that they are storing and aging their whiskeys on the Buffalo Trace property. So this is from one of their more iconic warehouses where everything is kind of the Pappies and certain things pass through there, and they're really sought after. So there's reason for this. They have determined that those warehouse areas are of the prime condition to age and distill these whiskeys. So there is some provenance behind why there's demand, why there is why it's sought after, and why it's considered great bourbon.
Yep. So I need you to on the nose for this
Okay.
for me, and you give me your opening thoughts. I have a very high opinion of what
This makes me feel warm and cozy. It's a very cold, rainy day out. And
yes,
this,
it's the perfect climate.
it just gave
for
me a hug. It
this.
just wrapped a blanket around me and was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
we're going for a ride." That's kind of what this just did to my nose.
Now this is neat, which you're usually a rock or two.
Why don't you do this podcast?
I mean,
I'm just gonna drink.
You're just gonna drink it. So I'll be very curious to get your kind of input on just the neat side. But even the neat, it is very, very warm, a little complex, got that caramely nature to it.
Okay, everybody is unique, and I will say that this time of year I have allergies, so I'm doing kind of like a nasal spray. So I'm just putting it out there. But I get a very interesting toastiness, and it's almost to me kind of like a very light hint of almost like a barbecue chip. And like I don't know if you're getting that. It's almost like the top of the aroma.
That to me, because I use hickory chips in my
Hickory
smoker, so that's kind of where I'm getting that
Yeah.
hickory-ish.
Hickory barbecue makes sense. It's kind of in that same family.
I've
But
also
I get that.
I've also used Jack Daniel's chips in my smoker too. That smells a lot like this, but that's coming from a
Yeah.
barrel that's been soaked in whiskey. So
Yeah, I would say that this is it's full, but it's light on the nose for me. And again, getting that barbecue chip, but also getting that like almost like cocoa vanilla, like vanilla bean with a little bit of like I don't know why it smells so warm to me. Like I'm trying to
almost like
add
a
in-
honey, creamy, vanilla-ish toasty.
I'm trying to think of the pie that it reminds me of, but it's almost like a pudding pie. You know what I mean? Where
Like
it's
a
like
pecan pie or something in that range.
I don't know if I'm
Chest
getting.
pie.
It's to me, it's a little fruitier than a pecan. I'm not getting like a peanut type. I'm not getting that shell type finish. So I don't know if I could say
this is
pecan.
sweeter, fruitier. I wouldn't
Yes.
say floral necessarily,
No, no.
but fruitier.
Fruity. Yeah, like I could see this being like some type of
Pear,
pear is a good one.
like honey and pear. And
Yeah, so
toast.
people are listening or watching this are like, yeah, a barbecue chip pear with honey vanilla toast.
Yeah,
That's pretty perfect.
yeah.
On
that's
the
about
nose.
it. They're also probably saying, "Would you quit smelling the
Yes.
stupid glass?
We're
and
gonna
just
taste this.
it."
And we're going to give it a barrel score as usual.
Okay.
1 out of 5.
Yep.
All right.
That's the
Cheers,
way it
buddy.
goes.
Oh, man. First time having this. First sip. Oh, man. So we've talked about this before where, I didn't even think about the proof. You know what
100.
it's at? 100. Okay. Right there at the good sweet spot for me. We've talked about this before.
It
where
doesn't feel like that though.
I enjoy that, like I call it the Kentucky hug, where it's that warm kind of down the throat. This has got that, but like it's rich. I'm getting the coating of the mouth. It's rich. It tastes great.
Yeah, I'm not typically very high proof for regular enjoyment, but at 100, this doesn't feel like 100 to me because I like what's happening with the complexity of it.
It's funny, on the palate is more I can see that pecan that you were getting. Maybe it's because you had tasted it before, so you were triggering a little bit of a taste
Maybe.
bud memory.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
there's
now I'm
definitely
getting that nutty kind of finish here, where I could see pecan. I don't know if I could see like peanut, but it's almost like a cashew, where it's like that tiny
pecan.
sweet nut, but it's not really a sweet based nut like a peanut is.
Yeah, we'll have to do a nut evaluation. Like pecan, gosh, that's great. So all
let's
the
leave that one in.
tossability between walnut, pecans, cashews, pistachios, like
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
how
I'm going cashew or pistachio in this instance. I think the pistachio is a little sweet for this, so I'm sticking with cashew.
yeah. Yeah,
This
and
is
I'm
really
probably
good.
following up
I'm getting a little bit more of that fruit coming through this, but it's no longer pear. Pear was on the nose, and I feel
Yeah.
like the fruit I'm getting. This is gonna sound.
Is there fruit there?
I feel like I'm getting it because it's not overly sweet, which I thought the smell that I was getting, that vanilla bean smell, was going to come through on the palate, but it's not at all. Like, are you tasting that?
Barely, but yeah.
I'm not at all.
What?
I'm almost getting like a real dark cherry.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from on that.
So I'm getting a dark cherry. I'm getting this kind of cashew taste. So nutty. It's still sweet, but the sweetness is from the more fruit
Yeah,
flavor,
there's
in
no
my
more pear
opinion.
there. There's no pear there anymore.
No pear. The pear was on the nose. Man, this is really good because I like a bourbon that I can drink neat that is going to give me something slightly different as the sips continue.
Yeah.
And this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to say anything. You asked me, is it worth 150? Hard to say anything like bourbon wise is really worth $150. I mean, there are some things that if the bottle costs $2,000 and I can get it for 150, it's worth every penny of it, right?
That's a little different.
But
yeah,
having drank Pappy, having never drank this, which is weird that I would, have the
Interesting,
opportunity
yeah.
to jump way up. I could never justify the cost of Pappy. Pappy's the experience
what is
and
Pappy
the bragging
retail?
rights.
Like if you genuinely were
I
that
can go get
lucky,
a bottle. I can go get a bottle of the 15-year right now for like
not marked up,
not marked up.
I'm
No
saying
idea.
retail,
No
like
idea.
retail,
But
not
I can
secondary
walk in on the
market.
shelves, secondary market, and buy it today, and it's almost $2,000.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I'm saying how much is Pappy? Like how much should Pappy cost?
It's a good question.
Is it like $110? I think I don't honestly remember.
I don't know.
I
Good
honestly
question.
do not remember how much Pappy is because it's so
I think
so
because
much of a
I've-
unicorn. Like that
Because
just
I've never
doesn't
seen it in a retail environment for MSRP, I couldn't tell
Yeah.
you. But I have seen this where like there's an MSRP and then there's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what we're charging
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, I saw a Instagram ad, Instagram posting for my local shop here in Franklin that said, "Oh, guess what? We have the entire flight of typical Buffalo family." And they had this, Weller, Buffalo, and Blanton's all available. And I think I zoomed in on the sticker and said this was like $72.
That would be great. Yeah, I think if you could find this at retail, probably one of your top bourbons that you can buy
Yes,
at retail.
to me, and we haven't given this any sort of score yet, but if because of the kind of difficulty to get this, if I ever saw it on a shelf, I would just buy it.
Yes. Yeah.
Didn't matter if I had 3 bottles of
Yeah.
it because of how hard it is to find. If I saw it on a shelf, I would buy it.
And small batch is the easier one to find. So you will find this much more than you'd find some of the, single barrels, which the single barrel is kind of what I want to get to next, tasting wise, because for me, again, the proofing gets a little different and you're just getting a little tiny bit more of maturation there.
Yeah.
And I would be interested in trying that. I'm not very excited by their rye because I don't think it's, like looking at the mash bill, doesn't look very high rye.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of one of those, like, it is primarily rye, but it's not
Yeah.
not super bold. But I don't know because I haven't tasted it. But I'm not excited to buy it.
Yeah.
But the single barrel, I like to get my hands on.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, definitely love to try it.
So
You haven't said anything
presentation-wise-
negative yet.
No. And I'm
You
still
haven't said nothing negative.
and I'm still getting a little bit of differentness. Like now I'm kind of getting this waffly taste.
Ooh, yeah, like a maple syrup.
Yeah,
and,
like
and
a little
waffle
bit
kind
of
thing. Yeah.
more of like if you've let maple syrup set in your waffle for a minute and you're kind of looking at the waffle and you're like, where'd my syrup go?
Yep.
That's kind of more the taste I'm getting. So I wouldn't say direct like from
Yeah.
the tap maple syrup, but like
Waffles and maple
waffles
syrup.
and
Yeah.
maple syrup. I'm starting
Yep.
to get that,
Yeah.
which
So-
is good, but the fruitiness is staying.
The highest that
time.
we've scored, I know we haven't released very many of these episodes yet, but the highest that we've scored so far in this congruence of releases
Yeah.
has been Eagle Rare.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of the benchmark. I know you said that you have this mystery 5-star or 5-barrel whiskey that we'll get to someday.
Yeah. I'll bring it in.
But at this point, Eagle Rare has been the highest that we both have given a bottle.
Yep.
And I'll be very curious because you haven't
We
said,
gave that a 4.5.
you gave it a 4.5.
4.5.
I wanted to give it a 4.5, but I went ahead and gave it a 5 just because at the time there wasn't anything that was really
above that.
above that for. I mean, there's so many others out there that are really good.
Now let me ask you: did we do the Eagle Rare? Did we do the 10 year or 7, 10, or 12? I can't remember what year that was.
I don't know. The bottle's right there. I think that's just the 10-year, isn't it? I'm pretty sure that's the 10-year.
I'm not seeing it right on the outside of the bottle, so I think that it's the 7, maybe.
Okay,
Let me see.
I believe you. No, nothing.
Yep, not seeing it. So I think
Okay.
I think it's the 7, and it's a minimum of 7, just to clarify.
Gotcha.
Not exactly 7, but there's a 10-year, and I would agree. I think that's both the one we reviewed of the 7 plus, and then the 10 is a 4.5 for me.
Okay.
And because we are only given half barrels, I would agree that for me this is a 5. So my barrel score for the small batch Colonel E.H. Taylor Jr. Straight bourbon whiskey is going to be 5 barrels. And I base that because I'm getting something slightly different every sip.
It's very nice.
So it's getting
fun.
I'm working through the complexity. 100 proof, but goes easy. Gives me the Kentucky hug that I love. I love that little warm feeling I get from this. That some of the more refined bourbons you don't necessarily get that from, and I think you lose the character. Great to drink, but lose some of the character, right? So, and the presentation, is almost second to none in my opinion.
It's not overly complex because it is just a cardboard tube, but the fact that you went and took that extra effort when you didn't have to really takes it to that next level. I think for me, my barrel score has to do the same. I have to give it a 5 just because of the I took that first sip and I was like, holy smokes, this dethrones Eagle Rare for me. And
Wow. Yeah.
Eagle Rare and like they're neck and neck, but if I had to reach for either one and I knew that I could get equally, I would choose this one.
I love Eagle Rare. We talked about it before. Hopefully I think that is out now, right?
Oh,
They
it's
can
live,
they can watch that one live, where we did most of the more relevant Buffalo family. But this one is so much more complex. It's so much more interesting for me personally, and being at 100 proof and having the Kentucky hug, which I think that the Eagle Rare is lacking. The Eagle Rare is the refined drink, in my opinion. That's what I was kind of mentioning, where it's like it's so smooth that you're just getting flavor and then a smooth swallow, and then it's like you didn't drink anything after a couple seconds.
This gives you just a little bit more, not too much,
Not too much.
but just a little bit more. And
This coats the mouth to me. On the swallow, I get the hug, I get the warmth. It's there for a few more seconds. When I'm breathing in, I'm enjoying after the swallow, which is a great bourbon usually. And the Eagle Rare, as good as it is, after the swallow, it's gone, and that's why you reach for another
few moments,
another sip usually. But this is delicious. Yeah. So
nothing negative to say. I have nothing to say bad about it at all. And if you come across it in your path on your trip to the whiskey store, the liquor store, wherever you go, don't let it pass you up. If it's retail and not marked up, you wouldn't be disappointed.
I think anything sub $100, even if you sit right at 100, still worth it.
Yeah.
You get into that 125, 150, like full disclosure, what I paid here. I don't know. Because you have to make the choice that you want the experience more than you care what the outcome is.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And I think most channels, when I say they do the kind of reviews of like, is it worth it? They're always doing it purely on the taste. And
Sure.
there is a threshold. And for
Yeah.
me, $150, and some of the like Elmer T. Lees that I can find around here, they're upwards of $300. And it's like, I could love the bourbon,
Yeah.
but there is a threshold for
Just dollar amount in
why.
general. Yeah.
Why, when I can buy 15 great bourbons
Absolutely.
for that total $300 and have them on the shelf? Hard to justify, but you will have times in your lives where I think opportunities will arise, and you're like, I'm in the moment. This feels right. I want to try it. Let's go. And this is a great bottle to start that journey with.
This is a great way to finish off the lunch that we had. That was a great like we had good lunch, and then now it's like this just is a perfect way to end a meal. So, have
Unfortunately,
yourself a whiskey.
we have a camera in front of us and not a
Fire.
fireplace.
Yeah, and it's raining outside.
Raining
so,
outside, so can't kick the feet up. But this is the bourbon to do it with. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold you to having to cook a little bit of barbecue,
All right.
campfire. Let's kind of do
we'll do
this
that.
right next time that we drink it. But
All right.
yeah, so 2 5s.
2 5s.
The reigning champion as
so
of now.
far, yeah.
Now I am going to bring in my favorite bourbon,
Okay.
and we may even have to do a head-to-head because I wasn't thinking in the perspective of judging it versus that. But I'll bring in my 5
All
barrel,
right.
and we'll see what
Okay.
happens here.
Alrighty. Well, until next time, thank you for joining us, and we hope you explore all the things that whiskey can offer out in the world with all those tantalizing tastes and explorations.
Sequel
See-
top shelf.
Sequel top shelf. Da, 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 da.
See you next time, guys.
Bye, guys.